Who's scruffy looking?
Welcome everyone back to the Talking with My Hans channel. I have a huge surprise for everybody. If you didn't already know by the thumbnail or you didn't guess on Twitter, I have Sith Lord Olive here with us on the FAN-terviews. Olivia, thank you so much for coming on. This is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor for you to want to interview me. It's really an honor.
Don't even say that. I got 129 subscribers and you got, what are we at now? 2,300
like yeah
followers on Twitter. Oh my God. You have a much bigger following than I do. And we're going to get into it, but I'm sure everybody wants to just know what kind of Star Wars fan you are, how you got into the franchise, and we'll talk about your Twitter and your internet fame here in a little bit, of course. But we were talking a little bit off air, just how you started your Star Wars Twitter, and it was your personal account. But I really want to know what started out your love for the franchise as a whole. Like, what was that moment that you saw Star Wars and you're like, wow, this is for me?
I know for a lot of people, especially a lot of my friends or internet friends, that they got into it when they were really young and they watched the Clone Wars and they grew up with it. And I never did that. I never watched it. I knew what it was and I knew who Darth Vader was, but I was like, nah, that's for nerds. That's not for me. I don't like that. And it was just a weird mindset I had. But then when I was 13 in 2015, before The Force Awakens came out on TV, they were having a marathon for Star Wars because The Force Awakens was going to come out in a few months. And I remember the day perfectly. It was a rainy day and they were showing all 6 Star Wars movies with the original trilogy first and the prequel trilogy after. And I watched it and I was like, this is so amazing. Why have I never watched this before? This is for me. This is what I like. I finally felt that I had found something that I could be obsessed with because I didn't have that before. People had Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. And
you were floating in the void, just waiting for something to grab hold of you.
This is for me. This is what I love.
You know, that's really funny because you're right. For so many of us, Star Wars made an impression at such a young age that a lot of us don't remember the day we saw the Star Wars movies. Like for me, I don't remember what order I saw them in first. Like I literally can't remember, you know? So for you to have that is like super special. Like you gotta be like, to remember all the stuff that happened to you as you started to become a fan. Like that's almost magical in a way.
Yeah,
like that's gotta be really
cool. When I watched A New Hope, I was watching it with my mom and my sister. And my mom was like, oh, it's Jabba. Jabba the Hutt is coming up soon. And I was like, isn't that Yoda? And I thought, before I started watching them, I thought that Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were the couple of the franchise. And when I watched Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, obviously I was like, oh God, what were you thinking?
Wow. Watching Empire Strikes Back must have been wild, with the Vader reveal being the father, unless you had heard that line.
They referenced that in every movie, even Toy Story 2, they referenced to that. So I knew that beforehand, but it was still awesome to watch for the first time.
That's funny. You know, it's funny that you say that too, because when I show people Star Wars, I've shown Star Wars to a couple of different people over the years, and they've heard that line. They've heard "I'm your father," but they didn't get the context. Like for people like you and I, it's very obvious, but like for people that don't get the context, like it's still a huge plot twist when they see it for the first time. I just think that's wonderful.
Really cool.
But anyway, the next question I want to ask you, since you can vividly remember this happening, which character from this series so far has made the biggest impact on you? Who can you relate to the most? We know what your profile picture is on Twitter. Is Rey the person that spoke to you the most, or is it someone else?
Well, as you just said, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that my favorite Star Wars character is Rey. But before I saw The Force Awakens, I think my favorite character was actually Darth Vader. I just thought he was so cool. And for my birthday, before The Force Awakens came out, I got a Darth Vader toy figure, a Darth Vader birthday cake. I was obsessed with Darth Vader, so that was... But I didn't relate to him in any way. I just thought he was cool with the and all that. But
That's actually something that a lot of people can relate to, though, because Star Wars is one of those franchises that's like, I cannot relate to Darth Vader. Like, I don't know what it's like to kill a million people at one time, but like, he's so cool. Like, I just like him.
It's just cool.
It's funny that you bring up your birthday too. For the rest of your life, your parents will know what exactly to get you for your birthday. Like, you've now subjected yourself to Star Wars merchandise for the rest of your life from everybody.
Birthday and Christmas, I've had at least one Star Wars merchandise thing. So, I mean, that's fantastic.
The same thing happened with my family. Every year, without a doubt, I get a shirt or, a figure like behind me. Like, it's hilarious. But you're still growing as a Star Wars fan, obviously. You saw all the movies when they came out, or at least all the new Disney movies when they came out. Has there been something from those movies that has really struck you as being your favorite yet? What is your favorite thing about, I guess I should say this, what's your favorite thing about Star Wars in general? Is it something from the movies? Is it something from meeting people like the fans? What is your favorite thing about this franchise?
First and foremost, it's actually that the movies are actually good. I feel all the movies in the original trilogy they're perfect and it's iconic. And they're good stories, in which some franchises me personally don't think have. And I feel that Star Wars is so consistent in its story, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but my favorite trilogy at the moment is the sequel trilogy because, I mean, the music, the cinematography, the story, the characters, it's just so captivating. So that's one thing that I really love about Star Wars. It's just the movies in general.
You know what? You're right. There's a lot of franchises out there that have a lot of movies, but aren't good stories, like you said. Like, they're not captivating stories. But Star Wars has it all, and you're definitely right. And you know what? Don't be worried about liking the sequels either. We love the sequels on this channel, and you know that about me. I love the sequels.
Since I joined Star Wars Twitter, I've become more tough, and like now I'm just like, I love the sequel trilogy. I love this. I love Rey Skywalker, because before I would always be so scared to say my opinion, but now I just know that no one can change how I feel or what I love. So I mean, it's all me,
That's right. I think a lot of people, especially on Twitter, think you're going to have the opposite effect. Like, you're going to go on and then suddenly you're going to love the prequels more, or you're going to love, you're going to hate the sequels. But it's not like that. Like, when you go on Twitter, it almost seems like it doubles down on what you already know.
People's hate makes me love it more for some reason.
That's the perfect way to put it. I don't think anybody's ever put it perfecter than that. All right. Well, you know what, Olivia? I want to ask you, because Star Wars Twitter is it's not the most uplifting place in the world. It's not all sunshine and rainbows over there. What experience so far in the Star Wars universe has been the most disappointing for you? Like, what part about this whole franchise has been disappointing? Because when I ask this question to people, my immediate thought goes to some of the people on Star Wars Twitter. Like, there's a lot of negativity there, but maybe you have something different.
I'm not disappointed with any of the movies. I mean, when I saw The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, I wasn't disappointed at all. But what really disappoints me are like the toxic fans and like the divide that there is. I mean, we should all be united because we all like the same thing. We've all come to talk about the thing that we love. So I don't understand why there's so much toxicity and negativity around it. Yeah.
Hey, you got it.
And I remember back in 2017 because I hadn't joined Star Wars Twitter yet, but I remember seeing on the news all that stuff about Kelly Marie Tran being bullied off Instagram and social media, and I was just sitting there, what is going on? How can you call yourself a Star Wars fan and bully someone off social media because you didn't like the role they played in a movie? That really put me off of Star Wars for like a little bit, because there's too much toxic people out there, which I really hate.
Yeah, there is a lot of that goes around, and you're absolutely right. Like, when I talk to my dog's barking out there, someone must be trying to break into my house.
Oh, I hope not.
When I talk to, but yeah, I hope not too.
Yeah,
it's okay. We'll be fine. What was I saying? Oh, when I would go on Star Wars Twitter, or when I talk about this, it is a shame because you put it so perfectly there. Everybody should be on the same page because we all like the same thing. And a lot of the toxic fans, I kind of feel empathy for because they love it just as much as we do. You know, they just love it from a different angle. And the fact that a lot of people can't, I think that seems to be the main problem there, is that a lot of people don't see that angle. Like, we love it. We just love it from two different sides. You know, like there has to be a way to bring those two sides together at some point. Well, speaking of these toxic fans, they always want to reboot. They always want, that's the new thing going around. You've been seeing that, I'm sure. They always want to reboot. They always want this. They always want that. I'm going to ask you, if you had a blank check for Lucasfilm, if Kathleen Kennedy came up to you and said, here you go, Olivia, here's a blank check. What story are you spearheading right now? What is that blank check going towards?
Very interesting question. Honestly, I would love to see what happens after the Rise of Skywalker. Like Rey building a new Jedi Order. What happens to Finn and Poe? What happens after the Emperor is gone? I feel like that would be really interesting. Maybe we could get something like the Clone Wars, which really brought more depth to the prequel characters, because in my opinion, the prequel movies, like the Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but the two first ones, they lack a bit of depth, which the Clone Wars TV show really enhanced. So I feel like, and a lot of people feel the same way about the sequels. So I feel that if we could have something like that for the sequels, it would make people like it more, if that makes sense.
That, you know, I haven't heard it come at from that angle, but you're definitely right. And you as a fan don't remember. You were not, I don't think you were old enough to
I was 4
see
years
Revenge
old.
of the Sith.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. See, I was old enough to see Revenge of the Sith. I didn't go see it like you. I became a fan after 2005, like 06 maybe, after like Revenge of the Sith came out. But in those days, 06, 07, 08, 09, 2010, that latter half of the decade, the prequels were a joke. And I'm sure you still see it on Twitter in some aspects. People just don't like the prequels, whether that be for the clunky dialogue or, like I said, like you said, you know, the lack of depth. But I've never heard someone say, you know, wow, the Clone Wars really gave those movies a lot of extra meaning. Maybe people would appreciate the sequels more if we had a Clone Wars-esque series after the Rise of Skywalker. That because when you look at
Anakin in Attack of the Clones, and I mean, I love the Phantom Menace and I love Attack of the Clones. I think they're really entertaining Star Wars movies to watch, because for me, I don't think there's a bad Star Wars movie because it's Star Wars. But I know in terms of film-wise, they're not the best in terms of dialogue, as you said, but they're still entertaining to watch. But especially in Attack of the Clones, Anakin, he lacks a bit of depth. Like, he's always saying, oh, it's not fair. But in the Clone Wars, you really see another side of Anakin, and for some reason, it made me love his character a lot more, and it tied together Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith a lot better, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're definitely right. And I think you saw that a lot. You know, you and I were both there on Twitter at the same time when the seventh season just dropped, and how that, I mean, just perfectly fits right into Revenge of the Sith. I mean, it's almost like you could watch them at the same time and you know exactly what's going on. So you're definitely right there.
Arc.
What a good
series.
That was
such a good arc. It was. That's high peak Star Wars right there, especially with Ahsoka and Maul, and also Maul because I remember before I watched the Clone Wars, I thought he was dead, and when I watched Solo, I was wait, didn't this guy die? Because I hadn't watched the Clone Wars yet, so I was like, what? And then I started watching the Clone Wars, and I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. And Maul is now one of my favorite characters because he's so interesting, especially in the Clone Wars. But in the Phantom Menace, he has no depth whatsoever. Just one cool dual lightsaber scene. That's it.
You know, you're old enough to remember, obviously, when you saw Maul come back. But when the Clone Wars came out, I remember watching that arc and saying, oh my God, he's back. You know, and it was one of those things where it was like, man, maybe they shouldn't have done that. Like, it almost didn't make sense in a way. Like, at that time, like when those arcs came, was it like
Yeah,
2010 maybe. He came back, and you'll hear me. I was on this train where it was like, oh, like maybe that's not a good idea. If you know Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained, they were on that same boat. They were like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But I think you and I could both agree towards the end, he's become an easy top 10 Star Wars character. Like, thanks to the fact that he's come back.
Because I remember before I watched the Clone Wars.
No, go ahead, Olivia.
Everyone was, oh, Darth Maul is so cool. I love Darth Maul. And I was like, what are you saying? He's only been in one movie, and he wasn't even that good. And he wasn't even that
had 3 lines.
He just said, at last we will have revenge, or something like that. And I was, why do you love him so much?
Yeah.
And then I watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, oh, no, I know now.
Actually, I want to talk to you about the Clone Wars here for a second, because a lot of our followers, I don't know, a lot of your followers are huge Clone Wars fans. I'm sure you see the Ahsoka profile pictures and the Clone profile picture. There's just a lot of them. Yeah, didn't you at the beginning of the year, didn't you have an Ahsoka profile picture? Yeah. See, I associate you with Rey now. People do. Like that's, you got really good branding on Twitter. You know what's up. I don't know if you do it intentionally, but you got very good brand.
I just post whatever I feel like I want to post. But now I've started to more plan out my tweets that I know people will find interesting, but still, it's not, oh no, what do I need to post today? Oh no. It's just, I come here to enjoy myself, not to create stress for myself.
No, and that's hard to do on Twitter sometimes. I'm sure you'll understand. But you don't ever seem to be like the kind of person on Twitter that gets involved with like that side of the fan. Like when I see those comments, like under some of the stuff that I post, I'm usually like, okay, like I don't brush under the rug, but like I don't try to interact too much. I think you could try to do the same, where you see like some of that toxicity come in, you're like,
I remember when I started posting about Star Wars, I remember I got this one comment that told me to shut up, and I was just so sad. How could you say that to me? And now when people post rude comments, I'm like, okay, I don't care. But I have actually, been in some arguments with some people, because sometimes they just cross the line, and I won't have any of that. I mean, it's fine, because I remember once this person posted on my Star Wars ranking that, oh, you're an immoral piece of for having the sequels ranked above the prequels, and you are the reason why Jake Lloyd is in a mental asylum. I was like, what are you saying? That makes no sense. And it was insane. But I try to stay away from all that, from that side. Not that there's, because that's just too negative for me.
You know, there's some people that I follow on Twitter, and some people that I have conversations with on the regular that are part of that side of the fandom. But they're respectable human beings. Like, they don't like the movies, but like they'll talk with you, and they're, they don't agree with your opinion, but like they're going to sit down and be respectful with you. And like, I'm sure you know how much like that means as someone on Twitter, like that you can actually have a conversation with somebody and become friends with somebody that doesn't think like you, when so many times it's usually like a 3-comment argument and then the block button, like.
And I've had good experiences with that side of the fandom. I mean, we shouldn't generalize, because not everyone is toxic, not everyone is negative, but no, I mean, I still don't like that there's this divide. I mean, we all like different things, but we all love the same thing. Why don't it doesn't make sense to me, but still. I wanted to ask you more about obviously Star Wars Twitter, because a lot of the Star Wars Twitter folks, not me yet, but maybe me soon. Your friend Trevor. Oftentimes we have to take a break. We have to step away from the platform for a little bit. Have you experienced that sort of level of unhealthy yet? Has it ever gotten to that point where you're like, wow, I need to just take 2 days off, from Twitter? Really? Because I don't ever, I mean, sometimes if I get some rude comments, okay, that's enough Twitter for today. You'll just ignore it, go to bed. Yeah. But I've never had that feeling, okay, this is way too much, you need to take a break. I've never had that feeling yet, and I hope I don't need to have that feeling yet, because this is something I chose to do so I can enjoy myself. also that I feel stressed and anxious all the time. But especially with my friend Trevor, I mean, the amount of hate he gets, and it's just, it also makes me sad because I know this person, but at least we all have each other's backs. Like, I'm in a group and we all have each other's backs, and it's nice to have it's nice to have like a group of friends on Twitter that you can rely on to support you. So,
absolutely.
But to answer your question, I've never felt the need to take a break from Twitter yet.
And you know what? I think we talked about this off the recording, but I think it's because you are a very friendly human being, like, especially on Twitter. Like, you put in so much work on Twitter. You reply to 90%. I still feel like I don't reply enough. You must. I feel like since I've gained more followers, I feel like I don't reply enough, but that's just me. Yeah. It's hard, but like every time I'm on and I scroll through and I follow so many people, I scroll through, I just see you, like you're always replying. And I think like I think that's what kind of keeps you going. Like you have so many good experiences, like the bad experiences, you can just brush under the rug, you know? It's nice to hear you say that you haven't had an experience so far that was like, you know, wow, I need to take 2 days off. Because you're right, like Trevor doesn't follow me, but like I've been following Trevor for a while, and I've been following other people for a while, and they do get a lot of backlash, like for no reason. You're like this guy just a dude like you and me, like he's just trying to have a good time on Twitter. Like, why do you gotta be that way? I mean, we all came onto Twitter to talk about what we love, not to out each other and expose each other. I mean, if you don't like this person, just unfollow them, you know? It's that simple. Or block. It's that simple. Shut the computer off.
I mean, there's literally a block button for a reason and an unfollow button for a reason. I mean, it's so stupid.
I want to ask you another Twitter question at the end so that you can do your shameless plugs and, you know, market a little bit. I hope that people come and watch this video because you've been an excellent guest so far. So I want people to know what you're doing on Twitter so that people know.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. But I want to know, behind me, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if I have the video set up or not. I have all this stuff here. I'm gonna pan up a little bit. I have all this stuff here, all these books, and then off to my left,
the big one, like the beige one.
Which one? Oh, the
Galactic
that
Atlas.
One?
Yeah.
Yes, me too. I love that book.
Yeah, me too.
I love the artwork in this book. I saw it when it came out, and I was like, wow, I gotta get that. Like, I don't know what that is, but actually that leads perfectly into my question. What is one thing in the Star Wars universe that you saw in a store, you saw online, and you're like, I have to get it? Like, even if it was $150, what was your most shameless Star Wars purchase?
Where I live, there's, like, at the bookstore, there are some Star Wars books, but it's not really eye-open. It's not really interesting. I mean, it's like for kids. It's like for small kids, like a Darth Vader coloring in book. And you can't really, I can't really order anything online, like from Amazon. So I can't order a lightsaber, which is what I want the most because of the international fee. But my sister, she has the BB-8 droid, and we are like, when she got it, I was so jealous because I wanted it, but it's fine now. But it's so cool because you can just control it and it makes all the sounds. But the one thing that
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That I have that I love is my Lego Yoda figure, which is really big, and the Millennium Falcon in Lego because I love Lego. So that's two things. No way! That I really love.
You have that big Millennium Falcon in Lego? That's awesome.
But not the collective.
That's awesome.
One, just like another one. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's still big and awesome.
It's pretty cool.
God, that's cool. So actually, let me move.
Yeah.
So behind me, I have the LAAT. I think this might be my biggest one.
Yeah.
I got a lot when I was younger, right? The Legos, which everybody loves. Like me, you, everybody on Star Wars Twitter loves Star Wars Legos. Maybe that's the gap we need to start promoting, that everybody loves Star Wars Legos. Could be that I got a lot of Star Wars Legos when I was younger. So a lot of the sets that I have now that are up in my attic just because I have no room in my room are some of the collectible ones, which is like, I don't even want to touch, like they're worth hundreds of dollars now. So like I can't go and see them.
Like a storm, like a Death
Go ahead,
with like
Olivia.
the black stormtrooper figure, and I have a Finn stormtrooper figure, and I haven't taken them out of the boxes yet. Like I got those in 2016, and they've just stayed in their boxes because I just want to keep them in mint condition. Yeah.
You want to cherish them. And you know what? If you ever start collecting the action figures like that, it's almost the same feeling. Like behind me, I have Rey and I have Luke from the Black series. I have a bunch of them, but like you're gonna find that like, God, I want to take this out and like experience this for like what it's worth. But also, you're like, no, I'm gonna keep it in the box.
I've been so tempted to open them so many times. Like, no, it'll be worth it in the end.
What you need is a younger sibling, a much younger sibling that can open them for you, and then you can be like, okay, like.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
They did it. I didn't do it.
It's fine. Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right, so let's start wrapping this up because I don't want to keep you too long. I'm sure you have Twitter things to attend to.
Busy woman. Just kidding. Yeah.
You are a busy woman. I'm going to respect that. I wanted to, because maybe this is an obvious question I'm about to ask, but maybe you got another answer up your sleeve. I wanted to ask you in what way has Star Wars impacted your life the most? You think?
I think actually, when I watched Star Wars, I found this place where I could really geek out. I could be myself. I could obsess. I could watch the movies all the time. And I think I was missing that before, if that makes sense. Like I had this thing that I loved, and it wasn't a person. It wasn't it wasn't a dog. It was something that I could immerse myself fully into, which is really awesome. But another thing that I really love, which has happened to me recently, is that I found this community on Star Wars and so many friends that are just awesome, that just support you, that you can talk to Star Wars about the whole day. And that's one of the best things that has happened to me since I joined Star Wars Twitter and since I even started watching Star Wars. So I think that's one of the biggest things that have impacted me, is how many friends I've gotten, especially on Twitter, which is really nice.
No, you're totally right. I think that's, for a lot of people, that's a very valid answer. It's the fan base is so large and it's worldwide. Obviously, you and I are in totally two different countries, but here we are. The one thing that we can bond over is Star Wars, and I think that is something that's so unique to a franchise like this. It's so accessible from so many different places and so many different ideas. Like, so many different people can come together and like this one franchise,
which is really great. Okay.
Let's wrap this thing up, Olivia. I want you to do your plugs. I want you to talk about what you got coming up for Star Wars Twitter. If you got any big plans, you're gonna start a YouTube here soon. Listen, you've been really good on this. I think you could actually make a name for yourself on YouTube.
I've never considered that.
Oh my God, yeah.
I would actually.
How much experience do you have like in video editing? Like,
none.
You have any idea like
Zero.
how you could put together a video?
Zero.
All right, you could pay me $100 a video and I'll do them for you.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm kidding.
I'll get all the money.
You could honestly start a YouTube and you'd be really good.
That's actually a good idea because I have nothing to do at the moment, so that will give me something to do.
Everybody's just hanging out in quarantine right now. But anyway, why don't you plug some things that you're working on, some things that you would like people to go check out, even if it's just to hit you up on the follow on Twitter. I'm going to have all of your links down on the bottom. So whatever you plug, I'll make sure to promote.
You can go follow my account, which is called Sith Lord Olive. And if you follow me, I'll interact with you most probably because I love interacting with people. I don't really have anything I'm working on. This is one of the biggest things I've done since I've joined Star Wars Twitter. And some other things I can't really speak about yet. So, yeah.
Whoa, you are... Wow, so you do have something in the works. I'm not going to press you, or am I?
It's not official. It's just spoken about. But I can't really say anything yet, I think. So I will. I just want to respect
Respect the people that are involved. You have any sort of timestamp you can put on when this thing's going to come out?
It's kind of up in the air at the moment, so I have no idea. But that's it. And this is one of the biggest things I've done so far. Okay, so thank you.
See, now that's saying something because I'm not that big. So what you've done on Twitter is well beyond what. Listen, I know I said this in the beginning, but having you on, I could not have picked a better guest. To be honest with you, if George Lucas had shown up to my door, I would have said, "Listen, buddy, you're gonna have to wait outside."
Well, I appreciate that a lot. I've got a big smile on my face right now, so you can't see me, but I do. So I really appreciate that. I never thought that this would happen.
We can hear you. We love you. Thank you so much for being on, Olivia. I really appreciate it. All right. Oh, yeah. Again, no problem. Everyone, you can go follow at Sith Lord Olive. All of her links are going to be down in the description. Of course, you can go follow her on Twitter. She's very interactive. She will definitely get back to you. Very friendly. One of the best over on Star Wars Twitter. And like I said, even if George Lucas was here, I probably still would have said it.
Yeah.
Maybe another time, George. All right, Olivia. Thank you so much for being on.
It was great talking to you.
All right, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you later.